The sound of gunfire. The silence of a nation in shock. In the last chapter, we walked through the blood-stained corridors of Haitian politics, moments when presidents fell, when the highest seat in the land became the most dangerous position to hold. But those assassinations, they were not isolated storms. They were part of a much larger hurricane, a political cycle that has haunted Haiti for over 2 centuries. A story of ambition, betrayal, and the relentless pull between hope and despair. To understand why Haiti has risen to breathtaking heights only to be dragged back into chaos, you need to go back, far back, not just to the 20th century coups or the televised funerals, but to the days when Haiti stood as a beacon, the first Black Republic, a symbol of freedom for enslaved people across the world, and to the days when that same symbol became a threat to global powers that preferred the world to remain unchanged. In 1804, Haiti shocked the world. After more than a decade of brutal war, Haitian revolutionaries defeated Napoleon's army, something few believed possible. This wasn't just a military victory. It was an earthquake in world politics. Haiti's freedom was proof that empire could be defeated, that slavery could be crushed. But this freedom came at a price. From day one, Haiti was surrounded, not by soldiers, but by walls of isolation, economic strangulation, and political sabotage. France demanded a staggering independence debt, 150 million francs, a ransom for the crime of freeing themselves. The United States, still a slaveholding nation, refused to recognize Haiti for decades. European powers turned their backs. It was as if the world had decided, this revolution must be punished. Yet despite the odds, Haiti began to build. The early decades saw leaders like Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Alexander Pichon, and Henri Christophe attempting to shape a nation from the ashes of war. But unity was fragile. Rivalries between leaders, fueled by different visions for Haiti's future, led to divisions that never truly healed. In the north, Christophe built a disciplined, militarized kingdom. In the south, Pichon led a more liberal republic. 2 Haitis, different systems, different dreams, existing under the same name. This division planted the seeds for a recurring pattern, leaders rising with hope, only to be brought down by coups, betrayals, and foreign meddling. Haiti's rise was never just about building a country. It was about surviving a world that wanted it broken. By the early 20th century, foreign interference was no longer subtle. In 1915, after yet another president was assassinated, U.S. Marines landed in Port-au-Prince. Their official reason? To restore order. The reality? To control Haiti's finances, its trade, and its political destiny. For nearly 20 years, Haiti lived under American occupation. And when the troops finally left in 1934, the political system they left behind was more fragile than ever. A structure built to serve outside interests, not the Haitian people. The mid-20th century brought a new chapter, the Duvalier dynasty. François, Papa Doc Duvalier, followed by his son Jean-Claude Baby Doc, ruled Haiti with an iron grip for nearly 30 years. They promised stability, but delivered it through fear, corruption, and the notorious Tonton Macoute militia. Opposition leaders vanished. Journalists were silenced. And yet, for some, the Duvalier felt like a break from the chaos of coups and assassinations. A stability built on terror. A devil's bargain. When Baby Doc fled in 1986, Haiti stood at a crossroads. The people demanded democracy, but the ghosts of the past, foreign manipulation, internal divisions, and an economy built on exploitation refused to let go. We left Haiti at a crossroads, a nation reeling from the echoes of political bloodshed, each assassination carving deeper scars into its collective memory. But as we push further into this dark chapter, we begin to see that these killings were never isolated acts. They were calculated moves in a game where the stakes were nothing less than the soul of the country. The assassination of President Philbron Diam Sam in 1915 wasn't just a violent end to a leader. It was the trigger for a 19-year U.S. occupation. Sam's brutal execution at the hands of an enraged mob was not the climax, but the opening act of a foreign chapter in Haiti's history. American Marines landed shortly after, under the banner of restoring stability, but their presence cemented a cycle of dependency and resentment that still shapes Haiti's politics today. Fast forward decades later, the Duvalier dynasty. Francois Papa Doc Duvalier and his son, Jean-Claude Baby Doc, didn't just rule. They dominated through fear, cultivating the Tonton Macoute, a paramilitary force that became infamous for silencing opposition. The assassinations during this era weren't as public or as sudden as a bullet on a crowded street. They were quiet, calculated, and meant to disappear people into the shadows, ensuring no martyrdom, only silence. This was a different kind of assassination. Political death, the erasure of dissent. But the modern era brought back the public spectacle. In 2021, President Jovenel Moïse's assassination stunned the world. In the early hours of July 7th, armed men stormed his private residence. Moïse was found with 12 gunshot wounds, his body marked by violence that sent a chilling message. No one, not even the head of state, is beyond reach. This was not the work of an unorganized mob. It bore the marks of meticulous planning, foreign involvement, and deep fractures within Haiti's own power structure. The aftermath left the nation in a vacuum of leadership, with rival factions circling like vultures over a wounded prey. Through all these assassinations, one truth emerges. In Haiti, power has always been fragile, and leadership is as dangerous as it is coveted. Each death did not just remove a man, it rewrote the nation's political script, steering it toward either hope or deeper chaos. And yet, in the middle of all this darkness, there are whispers of resilience. The idea that Haiti's story is not only one of blood and betrayal, but of survival. But survival alone is not enough. The assassination of Jovenel Moïse didn't just leave a presidential chair empty. It ripped open every wound Haiti had been trying to stitch shut for decades. The country was already in turmoil, spiraling gang violence, crumbling infrastructure, and a political landscape riddled with mistrust. But Moïse's death acted like gasoline on a fire that was already consuming the nation. In the days following the assassination, the streets of Port-au-Prince were tense, almost silent, not with peace, but with fear. Citizens whispered about who could have orchestrated such a strike. Was it a domestic plot by political rivals? Was it the work of powerful businessmen whose interests Moïse had threatened? Or was it an operation backed by foreign powers seeking to reset Haiti's political board? The truth, as with most of Haiti's assassinations, remains tangled in secrecy, corruption, and the competing narratives of those who stand to gain from chaos. The interim leadership that stepped in after his death struggled to command authority. Rival factions within the government and the military began vying for control, while gangs took advantage of the power vacuum. Neighborhoods that were once dangerous became completely ungovernable, and for ordinary Haitians, the meaning of law became nothing more than an abstract concept. But what's perhaps most tragic is how history seemed to be repeating itself in plain sight. The echoes of Philbron Guillaume Sam's death in 1915, which invited foreign intervention, could be heard in 2021 when calls for international assistance grew louder. Once again, the global community stood poised, debating whether to help Haiti, and once again, many Haitians feared that such help would come with a heavy price. This is the curse of political assassinations in Haiti. They do not simply remove leaders. They destabilize the very foundations of governance, making it nearly impossible for the nation to recover before the next crisis strikes. In this way, assassinations are not moments in time. They are cycles, woven into the political DNA of the country. And yet, As bleak as this history may seem, understanding it is crucial, because only by recognizing the patterns can Haitians and the world begin to see how to break them. Haiti is more than its tragedies. It's a land of extraordinary culture, resilience, and history. But to move forward, it must confront the ghosts of its past head-on. And far across the Atlantic, on the island of Hispaniola, something even more extraordinary is about to happen: the birth of Haiti. Haiti was not always Haiti. The western third of Hispaniola was known as Saint-Domingue, a French colony that had become the richest in the world. Sugar plantations stretched as far as the eye could see, fueled by the brutal labor of enslaved Africans. At its peak, Saint-Domingue produced 60% of the world's coffee and nearly half of its sugar. The wealth was unimaginable, and so was the cruelty. The average life expectancy for an enslaved person was just 7 years. And then, in 1791, the unthinkable happened. The enslaved population, inspired by whispers of revolution and desperate for freedom, rose up. Figures like Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and Henri Christophe would lead the most successful slave revolt in history. Against all odds, they defeated Napoleon's armies, the Spanish and the British. In 1804, Haiti declared independence, the first black republic in the world, and the second independent nation in the Americas after the United States. But victory came at a cost. The revolution had burned plantations, shattered infrastructure, and left the nation's economy in ruins. Foreign powers, terrified of a similar uprising on their soil, sought to isolate Haiti. The United States refused to recognize the new republic for decades. France, humiliated by its defeat, demanded that Haiti pay a staggering indemnity, the equivalent of billions today, as compensation for lost property, including enslaved people. Haiti agreed under threat of war, plunging the young nation into debt that would cripple it for more than a century. The early years were marked by internal power struggles. Dessalines, Haiti's first leader, was assassinated in 1806, sparking a division between the North, ruled by Henri Christophe, and the South, governed by Alexander Pichon. Christophe built grand palaces and an enormous citadel, symbols of Haitian pride and strength, but his reign was also harsh, and his death in 1820 signaled the fragility of the nation's unity. Throughout the 19th century, Haiti oscillated between moments of stability and violent upheaval. Presidents rose and fell with alarming frequency, often through coups rather than elections. And yet, through it all, the Haitian people remained fiercely proud of their revolutionary heritage. The turn of the 20th century brought new challenges. In 1915, after the assassination of President Villebrun-Guillaume, the United States invaded and began a 19-year military occupation. The stated goal was to restore order and protect American business interests. But to many Haitians, it was yet another chapter of foreign domination. Roads and infrastructure were built, yes, but so was resentment. The occupation deepened class divides and left scars that would last for generations. When U.S. forces withdrew in 1934, Haiti was once again left to navigate its own turbulent waters. The mid-20th century brought the rise of Francois Papadoc Duvalier, a man who transformed the presidency into a brutal dictatorship. Using a mix of political terror, voodoo symbolism, and a feared paramilitary group called the Tonton Macoute, Duvalier ruled with an iron fist from 1957 until his death in 1971. His son, Jean-Claude "Baby Doc" Duvalier, inherited the presidency and continued the family's legacy of corruption and repression until his overthrow in 1986. By the late 20th century, Haiti's fall was undeniable. The dreams of the revolution had been buried under decades of debt, dictatorship, and disaster. Democratically elected leaders like Jean-Bertrand Aristide offered brief glimpses of hope, but coups, foreign interventions, and political instability kept the nation from finding lasting peace. And then came the 21st century, a period marked by even greater turmoil. Devastating natural disasters like the 2010 earthquake and Hurricane Matthew compounded the nation's struggles. International aid poured in, but much of it was mismanaged or siphoned away by corruption. Poverty deepened, infrastructure crumbled, and political violence surged. Today, Haiti stands as both a symbol of resilience and a cautionary tale. Its rise from slavery to independence remains one of the most inspiring stories in human history. But its fall into political chaos and economic despair serves as a reminder that freedom, once won, must be fiercely protected. The story of Haiti is far from over. In our next chapter, we will look deeper into the shadows, into the assassinations, betrayals, and bloody power struggles that shaped Haiti's destiny. These are the events that not only shook the nation, but changed the course of its history forever. So stay tuned for our next episode, Presidents Who Paid the Ultimate Price in Haiti, The Untold Truth. If you found this deep dive insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and leave your questions in the comments. Your engagement helps us bring more untold stories like this to life.